The execution in the Council. The Galactic Council chamber was the heart of the galaxy's politics. Its walls curved high like a cathedral, glowing with shifting lights from alien suns. Hundreds of species sat in their floating seats, eyes fixed, on the center stage where one lone figure stood. He was human. Tall, calm, dressed in a simple black suit. He was Earth's envoy. His name had been spoken with both respect and suspicion across the stars. To the galaxy, humans were young, reckless, too bold for their own survival. To Earth, he was a voice of peace, a bridge between species. But today the chamber was filled with silence. No translator drones hummed. No whispers passed between ambassadors. The Council's high speaker, a massive scaled creature with golden eyes, lifted a claw. "Human envoy." The voice thundered, echoing across the chamber. "You stand accused of spreading fear, of demanding equality for a primitive world, of breaking the balance of power. The Council finds you guilty." Gasps spread through the hall. The envoy did not move. His face stayed calm, though his hands tightened at his sides. He had expected anger, accusations, perhaps even another debate. But not this. "Guilty?" he asked, his voice steady. "For speaking truth? For asking the Council to honor its own laws?" The High Speaker's golden eyes narrowed. "For daring to believe Earth is equal to the stars." The sentence fell like a blade. Execution. A ripple of shock ran through the audience. Even among alien species who despised humans, the word was heavy, final. Execution inside the chamber was rare, almost unthinkable. But the Council guards moved at once, their weapons raised, their armor gleaming under the blue light. The envoy lifted his chin. He did not beg. He did not plead. He looked around the chamber at the hundreds of alien leaders staring down at him with a mix of fear, disgust, and cold calculation. "Remember this moment," he said. His voice carried through the hall without the aid of speakers. "You are not killing a man. You are killing Earth's hope for peace." Some ambassadors shifted uncomfortably. A few lowered their eyes, but none spoke. None dared to challenge the Council's judgment. The guards stepped forward. Their weapons glowed. The human envoy closed his eyes for a brief moment, as though whispering a silent prayer, not for himself but for his people. And then, in front of the entire galaxy, the shots were fired. The chamber shook with the echo of the blast. The envoy's body collapsed to the floor, smoke rising from the wound across his chest. His last breath carried a whisper. "Earth will remember." For several seconds there was silence. No one spoke. No one moved. The Council chamber had witnessed war declarations, peace treaties, entire civilizations arguing for survival. But never had it witnessed something like this, a deliberate execution of an envoy under the flag of diplomacy. The High Speaker raised his claw again. "Let this be a warning to all species. The galaxy will not bow to humans." A wave of applause rose from some factions. Others remained silent, their expressions grim. But the decision had been made. The envoy was dead. Humanity's voice in the Council had been silenced. Far away on hidden screens, billions of humans on Earth and colonies across the stars watched in horror. The broadcast was meant to humiliate, to crush their spirit. Instead, it sparked a silence more terrifying than any roar of anger. In homes, in bunkers, in command centers buried deep beneath Earth's surface, people watched the envoy's final words replay again and again. "Earth will remember." And they did remember. That night, no celebrations echoed across Earth's cities. No angry protests filled the streets. Instead, the lights of government stayed on. Leaders gathered in hidden rooms, their faces pale, but their eyes hard. They did not speak of justice, they did not speak of peace, they spoke of one thing only: the protocol. A shadow passed over Earth, unseen by the galaxy. Something ancient, something long buried was stirring. The galaxy believed they had broken humanity's spirit. But the silence of Earth was not weakness. It was the silence of a predator before the strike. The envoy's body lay cold in the Council. chamber. But his words burned hotter than fire. The galaxy did not yet know it, but a countdown had already begun. And when it ended, stars themselves would tremble. Earth's silent reaction. The death of the human envoy spread across the stars in minutes. Every major network replayed the scene: the Galactic Council chamber, the blast of weapons, the envoy's fall, and his final words, "Earth will remember." Alien leaders expected chaos. They expected humans to protest, to riot, to scream, for revenge. They expected desperate calls for negotiations, but when their eyes turned to Earth, they saw something else. Silence. No angry voices filled the streets of New York, Beijing, or Nairobi. No speeches thundered from parliaments. Instead, screens across the planet simply went dark after the broadcast ended. The people of Earth returned to their homes. Soldiers returned to their bases. Families sat together in silence. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of resolve. In underground bunkers hidden beneath mountains, in secret command centers, buried under oceans, the leaders of Earth gathered. They sat at a round table, faces pale under the dim lights. No one spoke at first. The weight of what had happened hung heavy in the air. Finally, the Secretary General of the United Earth Council whispered, "They killed him." Another voice answered coldly, "They killed peace." The room remained still for several long moments. Then a general placed a small metal case on the table. Its locks clicked open with a sharp sound that cut through the silence. Inside lay a thin black folder sealed with the emblem of Earth's Defense Command. The folder was old, its edges worn, its label simple. Extermination Protocol. The officials around the table stared at it. For decades, the folder had remained untouched, locked away, never to be opened unless Earth faced annihilation. It was not a plan of defense. It was not a plan of survival. It was a plan of absolute destruction. The general's voice was steady. "They executed our envoy in front of the entire galaxy. They believed we would beg. They believed we would submit. But they have forgotten what humanity truly is." Another leader leaned forward. "If we open this, there is no turning back. No diplomacy. No forgiveness. Only war." The Secretary General closed her eyes, hearing the envoy's final words echo in her mind. "Earth will remember." When she opened them, her decision was clear. "Then let the galaxy remember us." She placed her hand on the folder. The seals broke. The Extermination Protocol was active. Across the Sol system, hidden systems responded instantly. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, giant machines hummed back to life. On the dark side of the moon, massive hangars opened for the first time in centuries. In the asteroid belt, entire colonies shifted from mining to war production. The stars had thought Earth weak, fractured, too young to stand against the Council. But humanity had prepared for this moment since their first encounter with alien arrogance. Every insult, every humiliation, every threat, they had been recorded. And humanity had built weapons not for deterrence but for one purpose only: the end of their enemies. Yet still the world above stayed silent. No announcement was made. No threats were broadcast. To the galaxy, it appeared that Earth had bowed, its head in defeat. Alien commentators laughed on their networks. "The humans will cry but do nothing," they mocked. But within Earth's shadow, preparations moved with terrifying speed. Factories that had once built peaceful ships for trade now produced warships at a scale no alien civilization could imagine. Entire starports were cleared for fleets long kept in secrecy. Engineers whispered about weapons that bent space itself, weapons the galaxy had never seen. In the control chamber of Earth's Defense Command, a single message appeared on every Terminal Extermination Protocol, Phase 1 initiated. Still, to the outside world, there was only silence. A young soldier standing guard outside a secret base asked his commander quietly, "Why are we not telling them? Why don't we warn the galaxy what's coming?" The commander looked at him with cold eyes. "Because predators never roar before they strike. On distant alien worlds, leaders celebrated the Council's strength. They drank, they boasted, they promised their people that humanity was finished. Yet in private, some felt unease. They replayed the envoy's last words and saw something in his eyes. A warning, not a plea. But they ignored it. On Earth, every family had already begun, preparing without being told. Men and women lined up outside recruitment stations. Old veterans polished weapons long put away. Scientists left universities to return to black sites. Even children spoke in whispers, as if understanding that something vast and terrible was approaching. The galaxy thought Earth was silent because it was broken, but Earth's silence was not weakness. It was the silence of the storm before it strikes, the silence of a sword being drawn from its sheath. The envoy's body lay cold in the council chamber, yet his voice lived on. Earth will remember, and now, the galaxy would learn what it meant when humanity remembered. The gathering of the fleet. The galaxy slept in false comfort. Alien leaders believed the humans beaten. Council broadcasts spoke of victory, of the envoy's execution as a warning to all lesser species. But, while the galaxy feasted on lies, the Sol system stirred like a beast awakening from slumber. In the silent depths of Earth's oceans, steel doors larger than cities groaned open. From beneath the waves, shapes rose, colossal starships hidden for generations under crushing pressure. Barnacles clung to their hulls, sliding away as engines ignited for the first time in centuries. Entire seas trembled as the water boiled around them. And then, with thunder like the wrath of gods, the ships broke the surface and reached for the skies. On the dark side of the moon, craters split apart to reveal hidden hangars. For centuries, alien eyes had scanned the moon, seeing only barren rock. They never guessed what lay inside. One by one, enormous black warships crawled out of the shadows, their hulls gleaming like knives under starlight. They did not move with haste. They moved with patience, with certainty, like predators that knew their prey had nowhere to run. In the asteroid belt, civilian colonies shifted their purpose. Mining rigs became weapon platforms. Entire asteroids broke apart, revealing hollow interiors filled with war factories. For decades, humans had mined the belt in secret, carving out hidden shipyards beneath the rock. Now, as alarms echoed through the void, those shipyards lit up with fire and thunder. Workers in exosuits cheered as the first of the great fleets prepared to launch. Deep in orbit around Jupiter, something far older stirred. A massive ring station, once thought to be an abandoned science relic, opened like a blooming flower, its petals spread wide, revealing ships unlike any other, ships that bore no names, no identification, only black steel and red markings. These were not defense ships. These were executioners. From Mars, vast engines thundered across the deserts, carrying titanic weapons toward launch sites. From Titan, the methane seas boiled as submarines transformed into carriers. Even Pluto, forgotten on the edge of the system, erupted with light as hidden fortresses powered up. Humanity's fleet was not being built, it had been waiting. Hidden in every corner of the Sol system, sleeping giants had waited for the day Earth's patience would end. That day had come. Inside Earth's Defense Command, generals and admirals stood before a holographic map of the system. Red symbols spread across it, each symbol a warship rising, each one more powerful than anything the galaxy had seen. A young officer stared at the map in disbelief. "We have thousands." An admiral corrected him with a cold smile. "Not thousands, tens of thousands." The officer's voice trembled. "How long have they been here?" The admiral placed a hand on the glowing map. "Long enough. The galaxy believed our fleets were small. They believed we had only what we showed them. They never asked what humanity was hiding in the dark." Meanwhile, alien scouts on the edges of Sol space began sending frantic signals. Strange readings filled their sensors, massive energy spikes, impossible numbers of ships launching at once. Some scouts managed to transmit short bursts of information before their signals cut off. Others were never heard from again. In the council chamber, alien leaders laughed off the reports. Human propaganda, they said. They cannot build fleets in secret. But deep inside, some felt unease. The Envoy's final words echoed in their minds. Earth will remember. On Earth itself, families gathered outside, staring at the skies as fire streaked upward. Children pointed at the glowing trails of ships leaving the atmosphere. Old veterans wept as they watched the hidden fleets reveal themselves at last. For generations, humans had whispered of myths, the Black Fleet, the hidden armada, the ghost ships of Saul. Now, those myths took shape in the heavens, steel and fire blotting out the stars. One soldier standing on a launch deck whispered to himself as a colossal warship passed overhead, "This is not defense. This is extinction." Inside the command chamber, the Secretary General gave a single order. Her voice was calm, steady, and final. Phase 2, deployment. Across the Sol system, fleets aligned. Ships the size of mountains moved into formation, their weapons glowing faint red. The void itself seemed to hold its breath as engines roared and gravity bent under the force of their departure. For the first time in history, the galaxy would see humanity's true strength. Not as explorers, not as diplomats, not as allies, but as executioners. The gathering of the fleet was complete. The storm was ready. And when it moved, the galaxy would burn. The first strike, the Galactic Council believed they had won. After all, they had executed the human envoy in front of every species, and Earth had remained silent. In their minds, silence meant surrender. Alien leaders drank, celebrated, and congratulated one another. The humans are finished, they told their people. The Council has ensured peace. But peace did not come. Instead, one quiet night, on the edge of Council space, the colony world of Zorion III went dark. At first, the loss of signal seemed like a technical failure. Council engineers tried to reconnect, but every channel returned the same result. Nothing. No trade beacons, no orbital defenses, not even distress signals. The world had vanished from the network. Hours later, fragments of data reached the Council. A short, broken recording from a patrol ship near Zorion's orbit. The image was filled with static, but one thing was clear. A black warship, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen, hovered over the burning remains of the colony. The patrol ship's crew screamed of weapons that defied physics, beams, of light that split entire cities, warheads that swallowed fleets in silence. Then the signal cut out. The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Some species demanded investigation, others screamed for war. But before any decision could be made, another report arrived. Another colony, Erasus Prime, gone. And another. And another. Within 2 days, 5 Council worlds had been wiped from existence. The Council fleet scrambled to respond. Warships rushed to protect the next worlds in line. Generals shouted orders, believing their superior numbers would overwhelm whatever humanity had unleashed. But they were too slow. At the edge of one system, a Council fleet of 500 ships arrived to defend their colony. They formed ranks, weapons armed, confident in their power. Then the humans came. Out of the void, the Terran fleet emerged in silence. Ships black as night, their hulls reflecting no light, their movements precise and terrifying. The galaxy had called them myths, the ghost fleet, the hidden armada. But now they were real, and they were death. The Council fleet opened fire first. Beams of plasma and missiles filled the void. For a moment, it seemed the humans would be overwhelmed. But then the human ships moved, their weapons ignited with cold precision. One shot, just one, cut through an entire enemy cruiser, splitting it clean in half. Another weapon fired, and 3 battleships vanished in blinding silence as though erased from reality itself. The Council fleet screamed in panic. Their weapons did nothing. Their shields collapsed under forces they could not understand. Within minutes, hundreds of their ships were destroyed. Survivors begged for mercy, sending desperate transmissions. The human commander gave no reply. The last transmission from that battlefield was chilling. A human voice, calm and steady, speaking into the void. This is not war. This is extermination. The transmission spread like wildfire through the galaxy. Billions watched in horror as council fleets once thought invincible, were crushed in hours. Panic grew across every world. If colonies could vanish so easily, who would be next? But Earth did not explain. They did not negotiate. They did not send demands. Their silence was more terrifying than their weapons. On Earth itself, the people did not cheer. They did not celebrate the destruction of alien worlds. Instead, they worked harder, faster. Factories burned through the night. Soldiers drilled in silence. Every family knew this was not revenge. It was duty. The galaxy, however, could not understand. Species that had mocked humanity now shook with fear. They sent envoys begging Earth to stop. They sent messages filled with promises, apologies, even offers of tribute. But the messages were ignored. The Extermination Protocol had only just begun. Inside the council chamber, alien leaders argued in desperation. "We must unite. We must crush them now," one shouted. Another, trembling, whispered, "What if we cannot?" Their voices fell into silence as a new report arrived. Not just colonies this time. Not just border outposts, but entire military stations, fortresses built to withstand full-scale war, had been annihilated in minutes. The truth settled over them like a shadow. Humanity had not struck in anger. They had struck with calm, with purpose, with terrifying precision. The council realized too late. This was not retaliation. This was a sentence, and the humans had already begun carrying it out. Terror. Across the stars, the galaxy had never known true fear, until now. For centuries, the Galactic Council believed itself untouchable. Its fleets were vast, its stations strong, its laws absolute. But after the first strikes, everything changed. Suddenly, colonies that had stood for hundreds of years were silent graveyards. Fleets that once brought security were nothing but drifting wrecks. And the worst part was not the destruction. It was the silence. Humanity did not broadcast their victories. They did not taunt the council with threats. They did not claim territory or demand tribute. They simply moved from one target to the next, erasing everything in their path with cold precision. Alien citizens across the galaxy panicked. Crowds filled streets in fear, begging their governments for protection. Rumors spread faster than light, of human weapons that could split a planet in half, of ships that vanished and reappeared without warning, of soldiers who never spoke before they killed. On the trading world of Nikal, markets that once buzzed with life fell into chaos. Merchants abandoned their stalls, rushing to starports that were already overwhelmed with desperate refugees. "The humans are coming," they screamed. No one knew if it was true, but no one wanted to stay and find out. On military worlds, generals tried to calm their troops. They shouted orders, organized defenses, and promised that the council's combined fleets would hold. But the soldiers had seen the recordings, the sudden erasure of whole fleets, the silence of destroyed colonies. They knew the truth. No defense would be enough. In the council chamber, fear became open panic. Ambassadors accused each other of weakness, of betrayal, of hiding information. Some begged to open peace talks with Earth. Others demanded all-out war. But every time the debate grew heated, silence would fall as someone replayed the same chilling transmission from the battlefield. "This is not war. This is extermination." The words haunted every leader. It was not anger in that voice, it was not vengeance, it was cold certainty. Meanwhile, the human fleets spread farther. Their warships appeared at random, striking worlds across the galaxy. One colony would be destroyed, then a fortress station on the opposite side of council space, then a fleet guarding the capital itself. No pattern could be found. No strategy could be predicted. It was as if humanity was everywhere at once, unstoppable. Terrified scientists whispered the truth. "They are not fighting like us, they are hunting." The galaxy realized too late that humanity had always been preparing. Every insult, Every humiliation, every dismissal of Earth as a primitive world had built toward this. The humans had not built fleets for defense. They had built fleets for extermination. On one council world, a family huddled in their home as alarms blared. Through their window, they saw the sky tear open with fire. Black ships descended like shadows, their weapons cutting through towers as if they were paper. The father held his children close, whispering, "Do not move. Do not breathe." But it did not matter. When the human fleet moved on, nothing was left behind. Across the galaxy, leaders tried to beg for mercy. Messages were sent toward Earth, filled with apologies and desperate promises. Some even offered to surrender entire star systems if the humans would only stop, but the transmissions went unanswered. Humanity's silence was more terrifying than their weapons. Alien historians began to write hurried records, as if trying to make sense of what was happening. They compared humanity to ancient predators, wolves, lions, sea beasts, that struck without pity and left only bones behind. One historian's words echoed across hidden networks. The Council mocked humanity. Now the Council will not survive them. The fear grew so strong that some species even turned against each other, hoping to escape humanity's wrath by offering up rivals as sacrifices. But the humans ignored them all. To humanity, there were no allies left, no enemies worth sparing. There was only the Protocol, and the Protocol did not negotiate. In the command chamber of Earth's Defense Command, the Secretary General stood before her officers. A new holographic map glowed before them. Red symbols covered entire sectors of Council space, destroyed colonies, destroyed fleets, destroyed stations. Phase 3, she said quietly. The officers nodded. Orders were sent. Fleets adjusted. Targets shifted. The extermination would now expand, not only to colonies and fleets, but to the very heart of the Council itself. Billions across the galaxy felt the shift without ever hearing the words. Fear turned to despair. Hope vanished. Entire worlds whispered the same thought. The humans are coming, and nothing in the galaxy could stop them. The Council under siege, the galactic capital, had never been touched by war. For thousands of years, the Council chamber stood as a symbol of power and unity. Its towering spires reached above the clouds, its defense fleets stretched across entire sectors, and its people believed themselves untouchable. But the humans were coming. Every transmission from the front lines told the same story. Fleets destroyed in minutes, colonies erased without warning, worlds turned to silence. Now the black warships of Earth spread like shadows through Council space, moving with terrifying precision. Inside the Council chamber, panic reigned. Ambassadors shouted over one another, voices shaking. "They must be stopped," one cried. "We must surrender before they arrive," another screamed. "They will not negotiate," a third whispered, trembling. For the first time in history, the Council had no answer. Outside the chamber, fleets gathered to defend the capital. Thousands of ships filled the void, their weapons glowing, their captains trying to hide the fear in their voices. The defense commander broadcast a message across the system. "We are the shield of the galaxy. The humans will not pass." But deep inside, every soldier knew the truth. They had seen the recordings. They had heard the chilling words. This is not war. This is extermination. The waiting ended at dawn. Sensors screamed as gravity waves tore through the system. Black ships emerged from the void, dozens at first, then hundreds, then thousands. They appeared without warning, surrounding the capital from every direction. The sky above the planet filled with shadows, so dense that the sun itself dimmed. The defenders opened fire. Beams of plasma, missiles, and energy blasts filled space in a storm of light. The void shook with fire. For a brief moment, the defenders felt hope. Surely even the humans could not withstand this. Then the human fleet struck back. With terrifying calm, their weapons fired. Beams of light cut through the defenders, as if they were paper. Ships vanished in silence, erased from existence. Entire squadrons broke apart in seconds. Within minutes, the defenders realized what the rest of the galaxy already knew. The humans could not be stopped. Inside the chamber, the walls trembled with the force of the battle. Ambassadors clutched at their seats, fear written across every face. Some prayed to ancient gods, others wept openly. Suddenly the chamber's great doors burst open. Smoke and fire filled the air as human soldiers stepped inside. They wore black armor, their helmets hiding their faces, their movements silent and precise. The ambassadors froze. The same chamber where they had once mocked humanity, where they had executed the envoy, was now invaded by the very species they had condemned. One ambassador shouted in panic, "We surrender! The council surrenders!" But the human commander did not reply. He walked to the center of the chamber, his boots echoing against the floor, and looked up at the trembling leaders. His voice was calm, cold, and final. "Mercy died with our envoy." The words fell like a blade. Silence filled the chamber. Every leader understood then that no plea would save them. The decision had already been made. Above the capital, the battle turned into slaughter. The last of the defense fleet broke apart. Orbital cannons, once thought indestructible, crumbled under the human barrage. Civilian ships tried to flee, but none escaped. The sky became a graveyard of fire and debris. On the surface, the people of the capital looked up in horror. The once bright sky was covered in black ships blotting out the stars. Towers shook. Ground defenses fell silent. The world that had ruled the galaxy for millennia was now helpless. Inside the council chamber, the human commander raised his hand. Behind him, soldiers stepped forward, weapons ready. The ambassadors knew what would come next. The chamber that had once declared Earth guilty would now face judgment itself. The Extermination Protocol, the council chamber, was silent. Smoke drifted through the air, filling the great hall with the smell of burning circuits and shattered stone. Alien leaders sat frozen in their seats, eyes wide with fear, as the human soldiers in black armor surrounded them. At the center of the chamber stood the human commander. His armor bore no rank, no symbol, only the dark steel of war. He raised his helmet, revealing a face carved with calm resolve. His eyes were cold, steady, unshaken. "This chamber," he said, his voice echoing through the hall, "once held justice, now it holds only lies." An ambassador trembled. We surrender. Spare us, and we will give Earth whatever it wants." The commander cut him off with a single glance. "Mercy died with our envoy." The words struck like a hammer. Every leader lowered their gaze. They understood. No deal, no promise, no surrender could save them. Above the capital, the sky was black with human ships. Their massive forms hovered in silence, waiting for the order. Entire fleets stood ready, weapons glowing faint red. The people of the capital city looked up in despair as firestorms rained down from the heavens, and then the final command came. Phase 4. Extermination Protocol. Commence. Across the galaxy, human fleets moved as one. Planet-killer weapons, long hidden in silence, came alive. They were not bombs, not missiles, not cannons. They were something worse, devices that tore at the very heart of a world, collapsing its core, erasing it from existence. The first planet vanished in a flash of light, swallowed by fire and silence. Then another, and another. Council strongholds, fortress worlds, and proud colonies, all erased in moments. Entire species screamed in panic as they watched their homeworlds turn to dust. Refugee ships fled into the void, only to be caught in nets of human warships. There was no escape. This was not war. It was cleansing. Inside the chamber, the ambassadors wept. One begged on his knees. "Please, humanity, we made a mistake. Do not kill us all." The commander's eyes narrowed. He remembered the envoy standing tall in this very hall, pleading for peace, executed before the galaxy. He remembered the silence of Earth afterward, the long preparation, the cold decision that had led to this moment. "This is not vengeance," he said quietly. "This is justice." A soldier stepped forward, carrying a folded banner. Slowly, deliberately, he climbed the council dais where the envoy had once stood. He placed the banner in the center of the chamber. When it unfurled, the flag of Earth spread wide across the floor, covering the symbols of the Council. Earth's envoy had fallen here. Now Earth's banner rose in his place. The chamber trembled again as the capital's defenses collapsed. Entire districts burned. Alien citizens fled through streets filled with ash and fire. The once proud city, jewel of the galaxy, was turning into rubble under the shadow of human fleets. One by one, Council leaders were led away in silence. Some resisted. Most were too broken to fight. None would ever return. In the command deck of the lead human warship, the Secretary-General watched as entire worlds vanished from the galaxy map. Red symbols spread across the stars, marking each exterminated target. Her face was calm, her voice steady. Protocol complete. The officers saluted. No cheers followed, no celebrations. Humanity had not fought for glory. They had fought for one reason only: to remind the galaxy what happened when peace was betrayed, when the last Council fleet was gone, when the last stronghold was erased, when silence covered the stars, the humans finally stopped. Across the galaxy, the survivors whispered of what had happened. They spoke of black ships that erased worlds. They spoke of human silence, colder than any roar. They spoke of the envoy's last words. Earth will remember. And they understood too late what those words had meant. Humanity did not seek vengeance. Humanity did not seek power. Humanity sought extermination. The Council was no more. Its worlds were ash. Its fleets were dust. The galaxy that had once laughed at Earth now trembled in fear, knowing that one mistake, one betrayal, had doomed them all. In the ruins of the chamber, the Earth flag still hung, unmoving, unchallenged, a symbol of a truth burned into every survivor's memory. The age of the Council was over. The age of humanity had begun.